Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. We're just going to go in a minute, let everyone join. Anyone who's listening now, how's my audio? Bit of an issue with it last week. I think it's sorted. Okay, Cliff, have to make your points quick. Can everyone hear me clearly on the stream? Please let me know just before we get going. Just someone say yay or nay. Excellent, thanks, Josh. Right, let's get going. It's Saturday, the 6th of March, 2021. Welcome back to the Match Reaction Show. On this show, we're going to be discussing what we've just witnessed at Bloomfield Road, which is Blackpool versus Wimbledon, and yet another crushing last-minute equaliser. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders Podcast, Match Reaction Show. Blackpool 1, AFC Wimbledon 1.
Ollie's already changed the world. Small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Seasiders Podcast, Match Reaction Show. As I said in the intro, Blackpool 1, AFC Wimbledon 1. Welcome to everybody in the stream. Hi, Cliff. It gives me no pleasure to say I called today's result after the Crew game. Bisons is saying gutless performance from the manager. Leave us your quick overview comments before we get going, everybody. Just before we get going, and welcome, Nick. How are you doing this evening after that?
Well, a bit like my fizz, a bit flat. It was,
and there's no spike.
And there's no spike. No, can't spike when we don't win. A little bit flat. It wasn't a great performance, wasn't it? Was it? We never really got going, and the inevitable happened at the end, unfortunately.
The floppiness of the result is indicated in the floppiness of the hairstyle, which we have requested you to do. So glad to see you keeping in your side of the bargain there. So well done, Nick. Taking one for the team. Good evening, little Tim tonight. So you're not like a crypt, but you sort of look a bit little. Because Nick looks massive.
It's probably the angle of my laptop that's. I shall adjust accordingly in a moment. A little bit of a. Go on.
Not in the crypt tonight.
No, I am in the crypt. I'm just got a little bit more light in the crypt.
Oh, is it natural light?
Yeah. Well, it's not quite dark yet. So, plus I've got the floodlights on.
Go on. So, how are you feeling after that? Just your quick overview before we all go off on one.
It's a bit of a yin and yang with last Saturday, isn't it? Really, where last Saturday we sort of had a bit of a buzz about us. I was jigging along to the theme tune as we came in, and today I just feel like I am Nick's dodgy glass of prosecco. We're all the same, aren't we? Just as I'm sure we're going to go on to talk about it. It's not just disappointing, but quite worrying.
Certainly is. And also on the stream tonight is Tom. Tom, a hat trick in a week. Wow, you're the new Seasiders podcast media whore. Should we put that on your bio?
Please. Oh, and I still haven't completed that, have I? Jesus. I've been called out live on air.
Well, since I've asked you to complete that bio and you've not done it, so I'm going to do it for you, and that's what I'm going to give it. I'm going to give you that title.
No dramas. My wife definitely knows I've been on 3 times in a week as well. So welcome, everyone.
It's a hat trick performance. Tim's laughing because he's the resident media whore around here. He's after your title, Tim, isn't he?
Well, it's I've held it for a long time. I'm ready to take on all comers.
Just a few quick comments before we get going. Then Robbo's just said, "Keep saying it. We don't score enough. If we don't keep a clean sheet, we don't usually win." Yeah. Mark Chamberlain's gutted. Cliff says, if Coach Critchley comes on tonight and tries to defend his tactics, he will lose my support. Well, the coach was saying, Tom, wasn't he, yesterday for the Bants, he was just going to put Besley Ball up front on his own.
He wasn't far off, was he?
Yeah, well, yeah. I think
going to do it for the Bants, he said.
The difference in a week of substitutions or systems being played just completely got flipped on his head, didn't it? And I think he got it severely wrong in the end today. And although the subs looked okay on paper, the system certainly didn't support that. And I don't think we actually knew what system we were playing in the end. And, it was coming. And it's hard to even feel gutted more than it was expected. And as soon as it went in, you just knew we couldn't, we were going to potentially get away with it. But even if we won that game 1-0, we would feel happier. But at the same time, I wouldn't feel fantastic considering the way we played.
Wasn't LC Siders also? He just said Critch subs cost us again. Why take Sims off? Yeah, we'll discuss that in a bit. But Mark Chamberlain's coming in a bit more positive. Table not looking bad though. 7 points off place with 3 games in hand. So we've actually gone up, I think, tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone up to
Zembe.
12. 11, 12 to 11.
We're never out of that area, are we? 12, 13. No. We're just mid-table obscurity. Right, let's get on to the actual reaction to the show and kick that off with our reaction to the match day 11, which I'll get up now. No, I won't. Tim, just before I get this up, we'll come to you first on the starting 11. What was your initial thoughts? I'll just read it out quickly. It was Maxwell, Turton, Ballard, Thornley, Husband, Virtue, Stewart, Hamilton, Mitchell, Sims, and Yates. So Ollie Turton's come back in, hasn't he?
Yeah, and listen, I'm not dissing anybody, but we're playing at home against a team in the bottom 4. We want to win the game, and for me, we've taken out 2 good ball players out of the side, including the dead ball specialist. For me, it was the wrong call. And I'm not saying that with the benefit of hindsight. I looked at that team beforehand and I thought that's, it was good to see. In some respects, it was good to see CJ start, but I think if you know a player's not going to last the full game and he's got a lot of pace, maybe it's better to bring off the bench. I thought maybe it was another game on the bench for him, but we brought CJ, and I think he's probably thought, I'm not going to play Gabriel and CJ on the right hand side. I'm going to put somebody behind him who's slightly more solid and slightly more defensively minded. But to me, it was a negative. It was a negative tactic because we've lost the 2 attacking fullbacks who create a lot of what the good stuff we do. And so overall, I looked at it. I know a few people saying they quite like that team. I didn't really, and that was my initial reaction.
Tom, come to you. I know in the Friday night preview show you mentioned you wanted to see CJ start rather than coming off the bench. So what was your thought process there? Obviously the inverse to what Tim was saying.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to go back on my word. It was for me, for having Mitchell on the wing and CJ, I wanted to see that down the line because I wanted us to utilise the pace on the wings and get some old school run at defenders back. And it didn't work out like that today. The wings didn't work very well. Maybe in hindsight, it was a poor decision. But when it's being praised and we've got sort of that speed and creativity on the wing, so to call it. But maybe I was getting a bit excited because he's not back to his best and he hasn't got match sort of fitness or sharpness back, and he wasn't at his best today. And we didn't actually create the space down the wings for him to run into anyway. He ended up just sort of cutting in and having a shot, which I think was poor from him today because, he had about 6 men in front of him every time he did it, and he was, a pop shot. And it's nice to have a shot, but the creativity from both of them weren't there, although I think Mitchell did play quite well considering.
Nick, over to you. I'll just move you into shot there. So, as Josh Mellon just said, Gabriel's been our best player for 3 weeks. Was he injured? I don't think he was. Tim makes a very good point in his analysis about the fact that we've taken off both attacking options in the fullback positions. Maybe it was a missed opportunity. As a bigger Turton fan that I am, he doesn't offer the same threat as Gabriel, and we've lost our threat from the left as well.
Yeah, we have, and I can see what Tom's saying though as well. In that you look at the two wingers there, and you're hoping that we're going to have some real pace and get at them, get some crosses in, and then you wouldn't necessarily miss Garbutt and Gabriel, but it didn't work out that way, did it? We weren't effective, and they worked out pretty quickly that we were just trying to get a long ball to Hamilton every time and doubled up on him as It reminded me, this performance, a bit of what it was like earlier in the season, where teams got us worked out and we didn't have a plan B. So with hindsight, yeah, it's probably not a great idea to have left those Gabriel and Garbutt out, because they do give us, set piece delivery from Garbutt and Gabriel with his attacking option going forward.
So what about pushing Husband back out to the left and bringing Thornley into the middle? Do you think that was a wise decision? Correct?
Well, I thought Husband first half. The lad, I forget what he was called. He's on loan from Brighton, wasn't he? Very lively, and I thought he had the measure of Husband. He was getting past him at will, really, and he was looking a bit shaky. So, and then Thornley and Ballard and Ballard, I know it's a great partnership, but there's not that much else we can do, really. So, yeah, it looked shaky for me in the first half. Certainly, they were coming down that side against Husband.
So, Tim, as Nick's just mentioned there, they were a real threat down that flank in the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes. And we started very slowly once again, like we did against Crewe. And what's going on there with our slow starts to the season?
I don't know. I mean, all the way through it wasn't just the beginning, all the way through the game. The number of times I saw us pick the ball up. Let's say we'd won the ball on the edge of our box and we're bringing it out, be it Stewart or be it Turton or whoever it might be, Virtue. The number of times there didn't appear to be any option on for them, other than a sideways ball. Nothing to play it forward. And I'm watching Crewe and I'm watching Wimbledon, and when they win possession in the same area, they seem to have about 2 or 3 options on, and we ended up. I know it's been mentioned by Eddie in the chat. We end up hoofing the ball down the pitch, almost out of desperation. There was also seemed to be an instruction to get it out to CJ, and we almost it reminded me a little bit of like 2 years ago or last season when we had Feeney and Nans, and every ball went to the right. And not less so in the second half. In the first half, it seemed to be every instruction get it to CJ, and I'm not. They seemed to be. It was like they could read it. It was like not. It wasn't. You didn't have to be telepathic. It was bloody obvious what was going to happen.
It was a bit like get the ball to Feeney in our kind of.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Exactly where we had one game plan. Under Grayson, wasn't it? Let's get it to Feeney so he can get it across to Nangele. And we just seem to, we've got a great player in Mitchell on the left, and yet we seem to be one-dimensional in relation to what we were doing. And to be fair to CJ, he's come back after a long injury. He's not match fit, as Tom's alluded to, and expecting him to effectively carry the team when he's just coming back is just ludicrous. And it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the rest of the players who actually, players like Mitchell are good players. Why is it all going just down the right all the time? And he wasn't getting it anyway. He wasn't getting it.
Like Cook's left foot's just said in the comments there, Tim, it's like playing the channels is beneath us. And it's it kind of boils back to the arrogance thing that we've talked about in the past. He just can't seem to get away from that, which is it's just odd. But going back to the game, Tom, they've got the ball in the back of the net on 7 minutes, and it was coming. It was chance after chance down that right-hand flank. They really targeted and exposed us there. And we were lucky, really, to get away with that offside goal. It could have easily been 1-0 in the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, and they would have deserved it as well, as you've just said. I think Tim's just, Nick alluded to a second ago. Husband's struggling down that wing, and he just, I don't know. Every time he seems to have someone attack him, he lacks. I don't know. Centre back is done well, but every time someone sort of runs at him or gets a yard ahead of him, you kind of know he's going to lose out and throw in a challenge. And I think really early doors he got beat, didn't he? And as they crossed it in, he took him out. Whether he got the ball or not, I don't know. But both Ormerod and Chisnell, in their wise wisdom, said they got the ball completely, even though it's come into the box. And he should have had a yellow for a late challenge that early on. And like you said, they just exposed him and got the ball in, and it was, we got let off. It's as simple as that, really. And the goal was coming all afternoon. We got a bit of more control in the first half, but yeah, we were really poor, and we didn't wake up at all. Maybe having pre-match bongs and not half-time bongs. I don't know, but
that makes my transition to Nick a hell of a lot easier, Tom. So thanks for that. So Nick, we've transitioned, to use that word again, from half-time bongs to full-time bongs.
Pre-match
bongs.
Yeah, it was a bit like against Crewe, wasn't it? It just we couldn't get hold of the ball. They were on the front foot. Husband was getting beat regularly, and they were getting crosses in. Before the disallowed goal, there was that save from Maxwell, wasn't there? It was a very good save with his foot, where he did really well. And you just felt like a goal was coming, and we couldn't barely put two passes together. And I thought, it's going to be another long afternoon. And it was similar against Crewe. As the half went on, we started to get a bit more of a foothold. But yeah, it was worrying, certainly.
Tim, let's have a quick chat about the ref, particularly the incident on 17 minutes when Jerry Yates has gone into the box for a shove on one of their players. So it was quite easy to brandish a yellow there, but then they've got to absolutely stow more yellow cards after that, and he's not brandished the yellow card, so he's very inconsistent.
It did seem so. I mean, I thought Jerry was stupid with that. I mean, there's some referees would send you off because
I was a bit worried.
His hand was around his neck, wasn't it, a little bit? And if a ref looks at that at a funny angle, I know Chizzy and Brett were like playing it down, saying it was like a bit of something of nothing. But to be fair, it was reasonably forceful, and he shoved him over. He didn't just. You see plenty of players just drop, don't you? When anybody goes anywhere near them. To be fair to the Wimbledon guy, I don't think he did that. I think Jerry overreacted, and he was, on another day, I wouldn't say I'd have been happy to see a red brandish. Obviously, you're not going to be happy, but I could have sort of understood it if the ref had done it. So it was a yellow, but equally, and I think as Jerry himself pointed out just afterwards, somebody scythed in on him, didn't they, fairly recklessly, and the ref gave the free kick, but took no action against the player, and so there did seem to be a lack of consistency there. But then again, the ref's down on pitch level, isn't he? We're looking at it from slightly elevated view. He's got a split second. I could have seen a yellow, but equally, if it hadn't been for the fact that Jerry got yellow before, we probably wouldn't even be talking about it, really, would we?
A lot of people in the comments are saying he was very lucky to stay on the pitch there. Tom, yeah. Tom, so we've got Josh. Josh is saying Yates would have gone if we had VAR. Neil Stone saying very lucky. Steve Hutchins said, I can't believe Jerry reacted in that way. Wimbledon player completely overreacted too. And MB's just saying, I thought red cards here were coming. So yeah, it could have had an early bath.
I'm not sure that as Tim just said, Brett or Chisnell saw it, because they just said he's gone down, or they said, why has he booked him? But I think he tussles for the ball, doesn't he? Because he wants to crack on with the game. Sort of holds on to it, so he literally grabs him relatively high up, not waist, not chest. He's quite high up, like Tim said, and he's thrown him to the ground with, as Tim said, with quite some force. And I said as well, as many others did, if he does pull out the red, you're not going to be shocked. And as for the foul, a couple of minutes later, I think Yates has jumped in the air to flick the ball on and has just caught him slightly and gone down. And Yates has made, again, a bit more of it because he's just been booked as well. And I think he was frustrated. I mean, it could have been a yellow, but you don't want to see cards being handed out left, right and centre. But Yates definitely deserved it. And it's a bit of a weird reaction from him because he's usually quite calm.
Okay, Nick. So once the bongs had worn off, we kind of got back into the game from in the 20-minute period. There was two chances, one after the other, both involving Dimitri Mitchell, stooping header at the near post, then pushed away by the excellent Sam Walker of former Blackpool loanee to save 2 penalties in that game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And also Mitchell almost lobbing Sam Walker from the right-hand side. So we had two decent chances within 2 minutes, and Brett and Chizzy were almost celebrating the goal, weren't they?
Yeah, the second one, yeah. Obviously, the first one, it was a decent header and a good save from Walker. Second one, yeah, you're thinking it's gone over the keeper and it's going to land in the back of the net. And I suppose fair play to that guy. It was a decent clearance being on the line. And it felt then like...
Did you think it was going in though? Because Tom, you're shaking your head as well.
You don't get a great angle, do you?
They were very excited on the TV, weren't they? But I wasn't. I was like, that's going wide.
I'm pretty sure I might be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's dropping, not on the line. I don't think it was on the line. Yeah. So when he was like, it's in, I was like, is it? Like, because I think he was away from the line and he headed it. He was to the left of the goal as well. So it might have been headed. And I need to see the replay, but it wasn't as, I think he got excited because the ball looped over the goalkeeper, but I didn't sort of think it was one of those chances where we should have, like, it was going in sort of thing, but not for me, but I might be wrong.
Tim, what was your views on that?
My initial thoughts were that it may sneak in, but I hear the argument that it might not have done. I mean, every credit to the Wimbledon guy on the line. He's sort of fairly acrobatic with his clearance, isn't it? Because it's very easily to end up with egg on your face in that type of situation where you end up spooning it into your own net. So yeah, it was decent stuff. I think the only problem, again, this comes back to not having Garbutt in the team. I think in the build up to that, because we'd had the header and then Mitchell takes the corner, but Mitchell doesn't clear the first man, and I find it frustrating that we've got
I remember that, yeah.
We've got somebody who's so good at your set plays, and yet he's dropped to just Anyway, it's part of my frustrations that, but to be fair to Mitchell, obviously having not cleared the first man, he's then he's improvised quite well, I think, and on another day it'd have gone in, wouldn't it?
Certainly would. 2 minutes later, with a big incident in the first half when James Husbands got past his man, gone into the box, and it looks like Tommy's been taken out a couple of yards in, and the refs given the foul rather than the penalty. So what was your initial thoughts on that incident? If
I said I didn't think it was a pen, you could show the stream, the chat. But I initially thought it's a stone wall because he's sort of blew the whistle quite quickly, and I thought that the hand was coming in. But as you tweeted, as the Seaside podcast tweeted, it was just before, and he's fell into the box, and at full speed, it looks like a penalty, and I think everybody did, but I overreacted, and the ref got it bang on. So fair play to him.
Nick, your thoughts at the time?
Similar to Tom, I thought it was a pen. I thought it was at least just on the line, and obviously you only get a very quick replay, don't you? And it's difficult, but obviously with the way Husband's gone forward when he's gone down, I thought it was just inside the area, but as we will probably now hear from you, that wasn't the case after your detective work.
Yes, I took a picture at half time. I rewound the action and I took a screenshot, sent it to Brett, and this was reaction as the half time got underway.
Road, second half is due. The technical wizard that is Brett Ormrod alongside me has somehow contrived to use his mobile phone to give us a complete still of the James Husband foul. Was it a penalty? Was it not? And the conclusive evidence, Brett, is that our listener who informed us was right on the money.
It's the Seasiders podcast that put it on.
Well, there you go.
But I listened, it was Joe Atherton, I think.
Well, very good. Right on the...
Apart from getting Joe some credit there, Brett. Thanks for that.
Your moment of glory, and he's got your name wrong.
I just want to say that as soon as I tweeted BBC Lanks about bloody Joe, what is it? Pig. What was he
Joe
calling him?
Piggott.
I got as he was calling him.
He was calling him Pygut. I thought, what?
Yeah, he called him Pygut, and I just tweeted BBC Lanks and said, "Can you just piss and tell that his name is Piggott for Christ's sake?" And then after that, he was calling him Piggott. So hopefully they listened.
It's like Kakai or Mackwell.
We need to get Bison
Bison
to confirm what his pronunciation is.
My God.
Come on, Bisons, where are you when we need you? Tim, what was your reaction?
First reaction was it was a penalty. I was quite bemused as to why it wasn't given, particularly when the ref then put his line about a yard away from the penalty area, because it was obviously slightly closer than that. And I haven't seen yours still, but yeah, obviously he's got it right, hasn't he, ref? So you've got to say every credit to him, and plenty of refs would have given the penalty there.
If you go to the Seasiders podcast Twitter feed, listeners, you'll see it in there. Can't be asked getting it out now. Just as a quick segue into Joe Piggott. Out of contract at the end of the season, likes him at Bloomfield Road. I completely agree with you, Josh. I was saying that.
Quality player.
Said it in the group, and I owe a massive apology to Wimbledon, because if you listened to the pod last night, I said I'll probably become a meme tomorrow, because I said they that they were pretty much useless in the creativity they make and the goals they concede, but they were the total opposite to that. So they they're owed a lot of credit, and we let them play a little bit. But you got a player there; they're in the bottom four, or just outside, and he scored 15 goals, or whatever, this season, and he literally just holds them up front, and he makes them tick over. And he played out of his skin today. He gave our defenders a torrid time, and if he was in a better team, then he'd be on probably 25 goals already. I mean, to score that many in that team, it's fair play to him, and he'd be a perfect replacement to Medine, and his head and shoulders above what Sims is as well.
I was thinking about that. Nice replacement for Medine. He does things well. That he had a couple of good shots, and he takes the ball early, and he was very unlucky twice in the first half and second half. That scores a volley in the first half.
You always felt
second half when he's gone straight to the keeper, and he was decent. He's decent.
When the ball was in and around him, he was making things tick, and you just gave him a little bit of space, and he made something happen. So yeah, he was superb today.
So we've got a couple of entries into the Piggott name pronunciation competition, where Bisons has turned up with Pygoat. Pygoat. But Bisons, I think Eddie has trumped you here with Pygot.
Jesus.
Pygot or Pygoat, listeners, which is your favourite? Yeah, just Tim, let's come back to Wimbledon. I really liked their centre half as well. Was it Darnell Johnson? Was his name? The big 27.
Yeah, is he on loan? Is he on loan somewhere as well?
No, is he?
Yeah.
They were a good team. They were a very good team, though, weren't they? And I'm very surprised they are where they are.
Now, the interesting thing is, we've had Crew players off the park for 60 minutes on Tuesday. Wimbledon have effectively done, because I think there's almost like a little bit of a mirror, isn't there, with Tuesday? Because I think Wimbledon sort of had the first, maybe not quite half hour, maybe 20, 25 minutes. And then I think we came into it a bit more up to half time. We were probably the best team for the next 10 minutes this second half. And then for the last 35, it was all them again. So it sort of mirrored a little bit Tuesday. And then you start wondering, are they really good? Or is it a reflection of the fact that we're not very good? Because Crew have gone to Lincoln today and got battered. And they're not a bad side, but they're an average side. Wimbledon are near the bottom of the league, albeit I think under the new manager they've improved a lot. And both teams have played. For me, we've been the second best in both those games, in possession, in creativity, in control, in everything, all over the park. We're second best in both, and that is really, really worrying me. Because we see it in the last few games after, and I think Charlton were awful, so maybe we're flattered to deceive there. But I just think we look like we're going backwards at the moment, not forward.
Why do we seem to struggle against the so-called lesser sides in this division, and we can go to the likes of Peterborough and beat them, and Pompey and beat them, and Hull?
Maybe because we're better as a counter-attacking side than the team that's got to take the initiative. We don't seem to have any idea how to take the initiative in a home game. And how many home games have we scored more than one?
Dave Jacko said on the chat, it's a good point. Our ball retention isn't good enough, and that's the thing. If you're giving it away to the opposition, then they're going to keep coming at you, aren't you? And that's what kept happening. The ball just kept coming back at us. So it's maybe not that, like you say, they're particularly great. We were just gifting them possession every 5 seconds.
Tom, you were going to say something?
Yeah, no, just to add to what Tim said, and if you look back at our home form, which is decent, we've got away with it a lot of times. And you think Northampton game got overshadowed by one of the best goals you'll see this year with Jerry Yates, and Rochdale was a scrappy Kai goal, and today arguably was a scrappy goal, a nice little touch off Sims, which we'll come on to in a bit. But we've let teams like Northampton, Rochdale play.
Look at Mark's comment there, Tom. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah, and we come away thinking, oh, we're unbeaten again at home. We've got 3 points, and I'm not being negative because I think we've still got a decent team. But Tim said we seem to be going the other way at the moment. And again today, the moment they kicked off, it sounds really stupid, but the 10, 15 seconds after they kicked off, their whole team pushed. And we just sat and they pushed and they sat, and then that continued for about 20 minutes. And we let teams play, and I just don't get it. And when we go away, like Charlton, we keep the ball, we move, we play, we attack, we shoot, and we don't do it at home. We just want to let teams play. And today we just need to be decisive, and we need some identity when attacking, because Tim was spot on earlier, which I didn't sort of back up. CJ started, and this is why now in hindsight, I really wouldn't have started CJ. And we've been on this run without CJ before. So why, when he started, have we then started giving the ball to Thornley, who's pinged out 40-yard passes to, and expect him to be every man on the pitch? It's not going to work. They would have done their research. They would have realised how fast CJ is, and they've got 6 men in the box when he's on the wing. Mitchell's left, Stewart's left, Virtue's left, Yates is left, Sims is left, and we're just pinging the ball out to him and not giving the ball to anyone else to build up any football. And if we attack teams and work them, that's the whole. I just don't get it, and I think that's why we are miles away from consistently competing for the playoffs this season.
Consistency, Tim's the key word there that Tom's just mentioned, but consistency, and we just don't score enough goals, do we?
No, again, we're perhaps getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but if you analyse that second half, other than the goal that we scored, have we really threatened their keeper again in the second half? No. I don't think we have. But that's a pattern, isn't it? It's a pattern through a lot of games in that we can never seem to finish a team off, even when we're on top. And we were on top today. So, I know I've seen some messages suggesting in the chat we never seem to get the second. Well, we're never going to get a second today because we didn't have another shot on target that I can recall. But
we had 3, I think.
They were all in the first half, I think, Tom, weren't they? Those Sims effort when he was played through. There was the header off Mitchell, and there was the goal, and they're the 3 shots we've had. And too many times, even when we're dominated, we just don't get enough chances off. Now we've had a little bit of a segment where we're playing Wigan and we're playing Charlton, who are both quite poor, where we've sort of bucked that trend, but the trend's there even when we're winning games, that we're not winning them against teams that we should do convincingly. We're hanging on. Any other game you'd expect us, to get. The way that we want to play, the way that we see ourselves in the league, we should be putting 2 or 3 against some of these bottom sides. And even when we win, we've just left ourselves exposed. It's really frustrating, particularly when I can't remember one game this season where playing one up front has done anything other than invite pressure, and yet we effectively gift that to the opposition. We gift our second forward away on 65 minutes, whatever it was, and play the next 25 minutes kamikaze defensive football, just trying to hang on against a team who are third bottom in the league.
Inviting pressure.
Bonkers.
Well, Nick, the first half of football, just generally, it was a good half of football to watch. And I tweeted that. It was a very entertaining football, and it was end-to-end. So it was good to watch. So how were you feeling at half-time? Were you confident?
Yeah, I thought we could. I thought we could push on. Like you said, I thought it was an entertaining first half. They had the better of the first half of the first half, and then we came back into it, similarly to what it was on Tuesday night against Crewe. And then, like Tim's just said, substitution comes, and Sims. I know he'd scored, but he hadn't done loads. But we just went backwards without him because, like you say, you go one up front, and it just invites pressure. Whoever the opposition is, whether the top of the league or bottom four, they're just going to come forward, and nothing's sticking, and the inevitable happens at the end.
Yeah. So we've seen more comments coming in there from Cook's left foot. We just gave up attack when we'd scored, had a good 10 minutes, then just decided to stop. And Mark Chamberlain just said, score the one goal back, sit back and defend. Now, this isn't the expansive attacking football that we'd been promised, is it?
I don't understand it. He actually made, I can't quite remember the subs because he made a few at once, so we'll come on to that when you bring them up. But I could just remember he changed the system once, I think when Embleton and Dougal came on, maybe either he put Embleton up front, I don't know, but then he changed it again, and
Tommy changed it with every single substitution.
Yeah, that's
with every single substitution, we changed our formation.
And I text him on when we played Crewe, and I said, I think we're playing 3-5-2, but then I think we're playing 4-5-1, and I'm not sure if CJ then went up front, but CJ was up front. But the way we played and the way we set up on the pitch, we then play 3 centre backs against Wimbledon when we're at Bloomfield Road and we're 1-0 up, and we literally just sit there and go, have the ball. And I don't care how their goal went in. And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I don't care how their goal went in, because regardless of how their goal went in, we just let them have a shot and shoot. And we just didn't clear the ball.
It was inevitable, Tom. It was inevitable.
It went in, and I literally just went, yeah. I'm not even angry. I'm just pissed off because I don't know the similar things, but I'm just pissed off because you can see it coming again and again and again. And any other team would have smashed us 4-1 today. 4-5-1. The goal was relatively lucky, and we just let them have the ball. And I don't care who you are in this league. Most teams have got 2 or 3 decent players, and they showed that today. And they deserve their point. They deserve probably all 3 the way we set up.
Hard to argue with that. Alan's just said Alan Garforth subs cost us again. Best 2 off in Sims and Mitchell. Mitchell was a threat all afternoon. It's a great point, that Alan. Let's go on to the goal then, Nick. 59 minutes. Talk us through the goal.
I can't remember.
Ellis Sims prodding in from Jerry Yates' strike.
Yeah, shot from Jerry Yates, and Sims has just kind of flicked at it, and it's flown in past the keeper, and he looked straight at the linesman because he wondered whether he might have been offside, and thankfully he wasn't. And yeah, in the right place at the right time. We'd had a bit of a tough afternoon. I think there's no point playing long balls up to him. You're not going to get, it's not playing to his strengths. But he's got his goal, and then fortunately got taken off not long after, and things went downhill from there, didn't they?
Hey, Mark, never thought I'd see the day after the bravado that we packed the midfield, 3 centre-backs to defend at home against the bottom 4 team. Pitiful. Tim, hard to argue with that.
No, it is. And, we having taken the 1-0 lead, we seem to have made the decision pretty much early on there that we were going to alter the way we played. And, actually, I will just mention it, because I'm not a great fan of Turton, but I thought he did quite well in the build-up to Sims's goal. I think he'd driven forward, he'd got it out to CJ, and obviously CJ then plays it to Yates, who has this couple of shots, and Sims, to be fair, the keeper was going to save it, so Sims did the right thing just to change its trajectory and make sure it hit the back of the net. But yeah, I'm just picking up on Tom's point. We look at all the subs. So we've decided to remove CJ and
Kai,
and we've been Kai on.
He's done his normal nothingness.
He didn't touch the ball for the first 10 minutes, and then to be fair, I think he did one sort of half reasonable defensive tackle or clearance. I can't remember what it was now, but I can't remember. He didn't contribute anything, did he? And
what does he ever do, Kai? I mean, I'm rapidly losing patience with him, to be honest.
I think somebody said in the chat, didn't he? He's a luxury player without the luxury, and and I think there's been far too many games like that this season, and you're drawn to the conclusion that would have been better for me. Would have been better leaving Mitchell on the left, and you've got Gabriel on the who's there. You could have brought Gabriel and played slightly in front of Turton, which would have been slightly more solid. You had various options you could do, and yet it always seems to be Kai, and I just think he's just flat. He's flattering to deceive far too often. Well, he's not even flattering to deceive because he didn't even flatter today, did he?
Ironically, look who's just popped up. Phil, you've come in at exactly the right time. The slagging off Kai segment.
Do you know what? Actually, when he came on, he actually slid and won the ball, and I fell off my chair. He made a decent tackle, and he started a counter attack. And then I think about 3 minutes later, the ball was 50-50. We're 1-0 up, and he jots over and he kind of puts a toe out, and that's why I put a foot on the ball. He just needs to go in, win the ball, and ping it out, clear it, or do something with it. But he's jogged over and let them pick up the ball and get the ball in the box again. But he didn't offer anything coming on, and I would have kept Mitchell on because he actually tried to make things happen today. And the fact that we're arguing about who should be playing on the wings just sort of sums up that we probably don't know out and out who's the best sort of attack now, and we've just got a few options and we don't really know who plays well. Like Embleton can go up front, but he can also play in the cam role, he can also play on the wing. Sort of who do we bring on? And I don't know, you think you want to bring Kai on, he wants to make things happen, and he comes on, he just doesn't do a lot today. And he's been decent in the last few weeks, don't get me wrong, but maybe he should have started today over Hammond. I don't really know, but yeah.
Tim, come back to you then on our other two substitutions. You're our subs guy. 72 minutes. We had Elliott, Embleton, and Kenny Dool coming on for Mitchell and Ellis Sims. Penny, for your thoughts on those substitutions?
Yeah, well, this is the point where I think we surrender the game, don't we? Because we've effectively, when we've made that substitution, so we've ended up with Virtue going out on the right-hand side on the wing, where, let's get it right, he's been crap all year when he's out there because he's not a winger. We know he's not a winger. He shouldn't be out there. So we've shoved Virtue out right and unbalanced the side for me by doing that. And then we've taken, whether Sims is having a good game or not, the problem is we don't have a replacement for him. We haven't got another forward. Yes, Madine's out, but at the end of the day, we've only got 3 strikers at the club, and Phil will no doubt tell me that Kai can play that forward role. But the reality is, he's not an out-and-out forward, just like Embleton's not an out-and-out forward, and they're really an attacking midfielder. So we've basically gone one up front when we're 1-0 at home against a team in the bottom 4, and we know nobody can point to a game this season where that has worked ever. It hasn't. So why the hell are we doing it? We took Sims off against Crewe, and it had exactly the same effect, didn't it? Exactly the same effect. It doesn't matter whether Sims having a great game or not, but we haven't got another forward. So unless you're gonna,
the answer is, Tim, the last 18 minutes he was just trying to pack the defence and prevent them from scoring. That was clearly what he was doing.
But even before that, if you are trying to defend, you need to actually take the ball out and hold it up on the halfway line or wherever it might be. Madine's been out now for 5 or 6 weeks, but we saw on Tuesday what the impact of taking Sims off was, and we've done it again. And we've shoved a player out to the right who clearly can't play right midfield. I was quite keen that we got Dougal on, but if anything, I'd have had Virtue at the top of the triangle in midfield, and then tried to keep the wings intact if you're going to do that. But we've weakened the wing, we've weakened the centre forwards, 2 centre forward spots, and I don't know why.
We've isolated Jerry as well. Go on, Tom.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Dougal. I think it's a quality player, but I'm not even sure bringing him on today it was the right thing to do either, because Virtue didn't seem like he was being overrun, and he was actually make some decent runs forward. And we kind of bring Dougal on because he's on the bench and he may be resourcing up in midfield, but he likes to get hold of the ball. He likes to spray passes, and he does win the ball back. Don't get me wrong, but we, like Tim just said, we just let them have the ball and we just isolated every option we had up front and just let them attack us, and we think, oh, we're just going to defend it, no problem at all. And we just got it severely wrong today. And yeah, I don't understand the decision making. And if you are making those decisions, you should know what plan you're going with. And I don't think he actually did, because changed the system 4 times in 20 minutes.
Nick, let's come to you in the final 10 minutes of the game. Joe Pigott again, very unlucky. 10 minutes to go. Instant shot.
Yeah.
Luckily gone straight to Maxwell, but could easily have gone either side. If it's gone either side, it's going in, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember thinking that at the time when he took it down in one movement, didn't he? And span. I was thinking, oh, this he's got. This hits, like you say, either side of him. It's in the back of the net. Thankfully, it didn't happen. And I thought Maxwell second half he'd flapped at a couple, hadn't he? He looked a little bit shaky. There was one he went running out for, and I was thinking he's not getting to this, and he didn't. And they put it across, and thankfully, their player just completely miskicked it when it was probably easier to score. So yeah, he looked a little bit shaky there. But yeah, going back to Pigott or Pygott or Pygoat,
Pygott.
Yeah, he's a very good player, and like Tom said, to score 15 goals in a bottom 4 side makes you wonder what he would do with, a top 6 side. Not that we're a top 6 side, but I wouldn't mind seeing him in a tangerine shirt, that's for sure.
Okay, Tim, pivotal moment on the game, 87 minutes, bringing Luke Garbutt on for Matty Virtue. Now, you're bringing someone on 3 minutes to go to get into the pace of the game for a defender. It's hard, isn't it, to bring someone on to do that job? And Luke Garbutt's been turned extremely easily for me in the build-up to the goal. So, A, your thoughts on that substitution, and B, Garbutt's culpability in their equaliser?
I mean, I'll come to there's a few people I think contributed towards that, but to me, it's been suggested on the messages, isn't it? It's a bit of a bottle job, isn't it? It's a bit of a bottle job, removing a midfielder and bringing on another defender. You're basically going to say we're just going to sit back and try and put a defensive wall up to stop a relegation bottom 4 side, to stop them trying to score against us. And the problem is, we've already surrendered an attacker. We're now surrendering a midfielder, and we're effectively playing everybody behind the ball and hoping we can hang on. And it was a bit embarrassing, to be honest, I think, as a tactic for a home game when you've got aspirations to get further up the league.
He's never done that. Sorry.
Go on. I was just going to say, and just looking at Maxwell spoons his goal kick, doesn't it? Goes out. I think Thornley, even before we get to Garbutt, I think Thornley bottles out of a header and doesn't jump when it was his ball to go for. Garbutt doesn't cover himself in glory, and the inevitable happens. It was almost like we were inviting them to do what they ultimately did, and not Tom touched on it before. None of us were surprised. It was like, the only surprise was it didn't happen earlier, just as it did with Crewe. It's we're giving the initiative to the opposition, and I look at my notes for today, and I just look at I write poor decision making throughout the game. I think that's on and off the pitch, constantly inviting pressure, far too negative, not playing your best players. You can go on and on and on, and it's just frustrating, because I think if we'd gone out to play our game today and played our best team, to we could have come out of this. We don't always have to play the best football, but we should have been looking at 3 points today, and I think we showed a little bit of disrespect to Wimbledon at the beginning, because I think Critchley thought, I can actually give some players some game time today and drop. In what world do you drop Gabriel with Gabriel the way he's playing? Why would you drop him? Why would you drop your set piece player? Why would you do it? You're doing it because you think you can rotate, because they're bottom 4 and we're guaranteed 3 points. That's why he's done it. And he's ended up with his egg on his face, as far as I'm concerned, today with that result.
He's absolutely spot on, Tim. I think he's either looked at today as 3 points or we should comfortably win. But he hasn't played Turton for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he's thinking, I'll give him minutes so that he can have a start. They're not going to do us any dramas. And even Sean touched on it last night. We can play Turton because we haven't got to worry. Well, we should have been worried, and we should have maybe done our research on some of their players, because we haven't talked about the centre-back partnership yet, but I touched on it just before they scored and against Crewe, that they're not a good pairing. I think Ballard is a brilliant defender and is probably is our best centre-back. But Thornley's not too sure and Ballard's really overconfident, and I don't think they communicate very well. So there was many times where Thornley stepped up, Ballard didn't, or vice versa, or they both sort of stepped up a minute too late. And happened against Crewe, Thornley ends up playing him on, doesn't he? He stays and Ballard goes, and he ends up staying him on. So I think, I don't know, maybe he should have just gone, maybe he should have played our best team. I said last night it wouldn't have done Thornley's confidence any good, but should we be worrying about, he should management those players and say, I want to play my best players today. And if Gabriel's fit, I'm absolutely fuming at the fact he hasn't started him. He's on the bench, so he should have left him out if he was done. I know Ward was done after the game. He wasn't in today's squad. But Sean did say yesterday that Gabriel was struggling after the game. He could hardly sort of walk. But why'd you put him on the bench today then if there's an option? I don't know. I just think he's either been really arrogant today or it's a massive learning curve, because it's just shit. It was just shit.
I think we've got another. We've got to see the assistant manager Colin Calderwood is on the stream. Tried to stop Critch going over defensive, but he's the boss. Coach Critchley isn't on tonight, so I wonder if this is a similar person running the Colin Calderwood account. Let's just pick on another comment. Go on.
He did the same at Ipswich as well, didn't he? He made all those changes when Ipswich were bang out of form. And we done it against Charlton. We played our best team against Charlton. We absolutely ruined them. And at Ipswich, he started Embleton and all these other players. And
you can overthink sometimes, can't you?
Yeah, no, you're
sometimes,
right.
Teams will be worried about us, but we seem more worried about them and trying to counter.
It's a common theme, Tim, that, isn't it? It's a common theme, but as Phil's just boiling back to that comment from many moons ago, we just. Oh, right. Nick, let's talk about the goal, if we must. Their equaliser.
Yeah, it was, like Tim said, it was coming. I don't know if the shot was actually on target or not, but, he's got the deflection, so there's a little bit of luck in that. But you can't argue it, can you? I think it was, they deserved it. We were, like we've said, we're sitting back, setting up defensively, trying to see the game out, and we're just inviting pressure onto them. And it was no surprise that it came. It was avoidable, but they deserve to get back into it.
Tim Garbutt at fault for me for that equaliser.
And Thornley for me. I think Thornley, he was good at the ball was in the air, and I thought Thornley should have gone up and gone for it. And then he had second thoughts and hung back, and he let it drop, and then the move moved on from there. So I think, I'm not too. I mean, I know Maxwell spewed it to go out to the left, didn't he, for the throwing in the first place?
Yeah, it was weird that. It's just a free kick. Was it a free kick or out of his hands? He's just booted it out of play.
It was a banana kick, wasn't it? And to be fair, it's not something he normally does. It's a catalogue of errors,
maybe this Tim, just sorry to interrupt, but maybe it's because they've had this negativity drilled onto them by these changes that the manager's made to A, the team, and B, the formation. So it must put you in a negative mindset, a last Alamo, you must hang on kind of mentality.
We'll compare that with Rochdale, wasn't it? When Maxwell did something very positive. That it was a Rochdale, wasn't it? When Northampton. Sorry, I mixed the games up. Where we're 1-0 in a very similar scenario, and Maxwell has adopted a very positive mindset where a lot of keepers would have just gone for the clearance. But yeah, I think you're right there. I think he just thought, just get rid, and so that went wrong. Then Thornley went wrong. Then Garbutt went wrong, and then it ends up in the back of the net. And but at some point, the fact that we got to 92 minutes without it happening shouldn't detract from the fact that Piggott could have had 2 or 3 on another day and that the other guy up front. I mean, it was a weird spin when that ball came across. I think it was Piggott who put the ball across. It was a weird spin and ended up hitting his. He gave handball, but I thought he actually hit his backside. And we were open. We were open and available. That they could have had 2, if not 3. There's no way we would have had 2 or 3 in the second half because apart from the goal, we never had a shot.
We did F all in that second half.
I think the difference in substitutions, I couldn't name theirs sort of offhand, but every single time they made substitution, they had something to do and they had an instruction to do it. And I think Palmer was one of their substitutions. And yes, it's a lucky goal, but he's had an impact on the game and scored. And I think ironically, the fact that we've sat at the back and put all those men in the box, the 5 at the back or the 10 at the back, whatever we're playing in the end, is the sheer reason why it's deflected in. There's about 4 or 5 bodies in there and no one knows where to stand or to block the shot and who's blocking what shot or who's going up for which header. And it was just a mess. If we just played a structured game plan with the right players, then we're comfortably seeing it out like we did against Portsmouth. But I've said it on the pod 100 times, and I think a lot of people think, I say this tongue-in-cheek to some extent, I think some people think we're a lot better than what we are and we're going to go up. And I think today is a real reality check. If we didn't learn from Crewe, we didn't learn from Crewe because we let them play today, but game plans are just out of the window at home at the moment, and away we just want to attack with freedom. I don't get the difference. But we haven't been amazing at home all season, and we haven't dicked anyone at home and thought we're running away with these games. And I think the only game where we've created loads of opportunities was against Hull, and I think they were top of the league, and we thought, let's go at them. We play Wimbledon, and we think, what? Don't go at them. I don't get the mentality at home. We've got away with it for too many games for me, and I think Rochdale and Northampton. I don't know if you remember Tim or Nick, but Northampton, when it was 1-0, the ball came over in the 88th minute, and they've got a free header about 4 yards out, and he heads it straight at Maxwell, and you think that's 1-1. We've just let Northampton play for 90 minutes, and we're going to come away with a draw against the bottom side. And like I said, Yates scores that goal, and it's been overshadowed, and we're feeling good, but we haven't been incredible at home all season.
I think Northampton had a big win today. Yeah, they beat Pompey 4-1.
That's the thing, that if you look at the results, we're still, as unlikely as it might be to get to the playoffs, we're still in the mix, aren't we? With Peterborough lost at Burton, I think, didn't they? Portsmouth got thumped.
The games we've got in hand now, I don't think we fancy them. We've got Burton at home now, and they're now top of the league in the form guide. They've won 4 out of the last 6, and they've won 3 in a row. They beat Charlton, Peterborough. They won in midweek. They're on fire, and if they come and attack us, they're going to beat us 3 or 4-0. And it's the truth. We've got Doncaster to play, Sunderland to play twice.
Fleetwood next Saturday, haven't we? And they've started
a bit of form, haven't they?
We've got Fleetwood next Saturday. They've won again today, and they just beat Lincoln, and they're going to want to come away, and Grayson's going to want to absolutely batter us. And if we play like that, they will.
Yeah. We always seem to raise our game against them at home. Like you've said before, Tom, we need to play our game, play our attacking game, rather than this siege mentality style football that he seems to play against the lesser sides.
Every week, just play 4-4-2 and play your best players. He just doesn't want to do it.
Football's a simple game, isn't it?
We've got lots of games to play. Yes, we've got lots of games to play, but let's just focus on each game as it comes. These are men, and if they're tired, then they do a bit of light work in training, and they use the matches like Ben Burgess said in the pod ages ago. He said, I use the matches as my training sort of thing, and that's what I use to get fit or continue to stay fit. And these players know what they're doing, and with all the fitness sort of coaches we've got, you do some light work in training, and you're playing 2 days later every single week, aren't you? So you can recover and go again, and if they're not good enough, you start them, and then you see how the game's playing out. But yeah.
All right, let's try and inject a bit of positivity if we can. So if you look at the screen there, we're 5 games unbeaten, won 3, drawn 2. We're in 12th position on 45 points. So we're 7 points off the playoffs. That's Pompey on 32 games. We've got 3 games on then. So let's hope Coach Critchley heeds what we're saying here. I know he normally does. What all Blackpool fans are saying, that just play your best team, play our game, and let them worry about us.
I think the other thing is that, talking about positives, you put Gary Medine back in up front and the Viking at centre half, then either end of the pitch, we should see improvements. So there's that to consider as well. Over the next. I don't know how far away they are. They keep saying they're in training and not too far away, but hopefully.
Greta was on that video, wasn't he? He was heading and kicking in balls, so it would insinuate that is near a return, and we know Medine was running, so fingers crossed he's starting to kick a ball about as well. I think the yardstick will be Tuesday. Engadon's just lost 3-0 to Wigan, which we beat 5-0. And if we go into that game the same way we did today, you can kiss good all hope to the playoffs or any consistency, because we need to go into that game. It's away from home, and we need to go like we did against Charlton and absolutely teach him a lesson. And if we do that, and we use today as a sort of a learning, then we start to believe a little bit again. But for me, I just don't think we're going to have that consistency come the end of the season, because he doesn't know how to manage games fully yet.
Right, we're on an hour now, so let's rattle through the player ratings. Nick, let's start with you and Chris Maxwell. A bit off today for me.
He was, yeah. He couldn't do anything with the goal, but he made a good save in the first half. But then I thought his distribution wasn't great, which has been such a strong point for him this season, hasn't it? Flapped at a couple second half, and we got, like we've just said, he got away with one. I'll go a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Tim, Ollie Turton back into the side. I know it comes for a lot of stick, but he was rock solid for me today. I can't.
It was solid. For me, the issue I've got, and the problem is we're comparing him and Gabriel, aren't we? Who gives a lot more going forward. Ollie's a good utility player. He won't let you down. I don't quite agree with Brett when he says you get 8 out of 10 every week for him, because I'm giving him a 6.
That's harsh, Tim.
It's not harsh. It's fair. I think it's not bad. But what I gave him credit. He did one decent ball down the right to CJ, and he was involved in the goal. But other than that, there was nothing. He doesn't give anything going forward. Not enough. And this is why we shouldn't be dropping players who do give that extra bit going forward for us. So it's a 6, and it's not no criticism. He was solid, accept that, but that's about it.
I think you want more from a fullback, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, Dan Ballard. So, Tom.
6, 7. I mean, he didn't. I think he got bullied quite a lot. Actually, he learned probably. I mean, he's played against Haaland
He's had
and
better
a few
games,
other
hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had better games. He's still a very decent centre back. His distribution's been poor the last couple of games, so he didn't have too much to do. 7. I mean, it's a very average 7. 7 middle.
6 or 7 then. Come on, put your life
7.
on the line.
Yeah, no, I'll give him a 7 because he's had a good battle with Pygoat, whatever his name is today. And to be fair, it was a good battle to see. It was a good old traditional sort of Medine style Piggott performance. So for me, he deserves a 7 because it was a good battle and he didn't really do too much wrong.
No. John Thornley, Nick. This will be interesting. I'm not his biggest fan, if I'm honest.
No, I think we're going to struggle to go above 6 or 7 for most of them today. Could have done better on the goal. I'll go 6.
Yeah, that was in my head. James Husband, Tim, exposed at times, but a decent threat going forward.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be a lot of 6s tonight, aren't we?
I think I'm sticking with a 6. I was looking. I mean, he got skinned a bit in the first half, didn't he? But he always gives it, and I genuinely don't. For me, 5 and below is a poor, and I think he was average today, so it's a 6.
Matty Virtue, Tom.
Doesn't
anonymous.
I don't know.
Industrious.
I don't think there was anything less than a 7 in what was quite a poor performance today. He galloped across the pitch. He put tackles in. He broke up play a little bit better than a lot of players did today. So he doesn't score anywhere less than a 7 for me. But he's definitely not an 8 or a 9, so a 7.
Kev Stewart, Nick. He's got to be up there with my man of the match. But don't let my opinion sway you.
No, he was for me as well. But it's probably still, I don't know, maybe only a 7+. It wasn't outstanding, but a lot goes through him. He doesn't give the ball away very often, if at all. He just keeps things ticking over, doesn't he? And I think he's gonna, be a key player for us now. He's fully match fit.
I'd like to see him get on the score sheet.
Yeah, that's maybe
or
one
just
thing he could
shoot
do
even.
a bit more of. So I'm going to go with 7.
Has he ever shot?
Yeah, he had a couple of
Yeah.
his first games, but I think the reason that I'd like to see Dougal and Stewart again is because I think teams will dominate midfield whilst Virtue is bombing up and being that galloping horse in midfield and he's being box to box, whereas Dougal sits and controls the game in the middle and Stewart does the real hard work around him. And I think overall, I think that those two I'd like to see again, just to give them some time together again. Whether we'll see that in the next couple of weeks, I don't know, but I think
if you're going to do that, you've got to go 3 at the back.
I was about to say, if you do that, you need to play all 3 of them almost.
And you can still play Gabriel. You can still play Garbett. And you could stick at the moment. You could stick Husband or Turton in that back 3 along with Thornley and Ballard, couldn't you? And I do actually think that would give us more balance, particularly. Because I don't see how you can, at the moment, the way we are, we can play without Dougal and Stewart in the team. They should both be in. But the only way we can do it is to have 3 central midfielders for me, because you still need that attacking one. Now, whether it's Virtue or whether it's Embleton or whether it's Kai, we have to make that decision. But for me, it would still be Virtue.
It's a B-Tech Southern, Vaughan and Adam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Happy shopper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, Tim. Chris Hamilton.
Yeah. Involved in the goal. I don't think we saw him get past his man really today. And I think the first touch he had on Tuesday, we saw that electric pace again. I think it was 2 or 3 games too early for a start for him. I think he looks rusty. And it's a 6.
Tom, Dimitri Mitchell. Dimitri. I've been calling him Dimitri. I've just checked the spelling.
Dimitri is right. Yeah, I'm not sure. They call him Dimmy, don't they? So, I liked him today, and I think if we didn't play so poorly, he would look a lot better or he'd get covered in a bit more respect than the team did today. I think he did some really good defensive work, and every time he attacked, he was involved. So, I mean, he done really well with his start today, in my opinion. So, if I'm giving Virtue a 7, I'm going to give him a 7/8. Yeah, I mean, we were nothing. No one. I'll give him another 7 because I don't think anyone played an 8 or a 9 today. So, a 7.
What are we on? Ellis Sims, Nick.
He did okay. Obviously, got the goal. Other than that, it was a bit of a tough afternoon for him. Their defender was decent who he was up against, and we didn't always play to his strengths. But he put the ball in the back of the net, so I'll give him a 7 just for that reason.
Finally, Tim, Jerry Yates.
Wasn't happening for Jerry today, was it really? I mean, one thing you always get with Jerry, which I do like, is you always get 100%, but he just seemed to be running around a lot today and not really connecting with the ball. It was quite ineffectual, I thought. Probably, but he's not helped. But he's left as a one-man run around like headless chicken up front, trying to close people down, because that's effectively the role he was given for the last 25 minutes. So I do have some sympathy with him, but it's a 6. It's nothing special.
Cliff's just dropped a decent comment, decent shout there. Thought you said you're going after 10 minutes, Cliff. Anyway,
he's hooked.
We've sucked you in, have we? But Cliff has just said, are we doing the Rate the Manager tonight? And yes, I think we will. So, Nick, over to you first.
4.
Tim.
4.
Tom.
I'm going to go 3 because he pissed poor all over the place. Wrong team, wrong substitutions, wrong system. Didn't know what he was doing. Simple as that.
I'll go for a 4 as well. Right, let's just talk about man of the matches, and then we'll say adieu for the evening. So, Nick, man of the match.
Tough,
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's slim pickings. Who do we give the best score to? I'll go Stewart, but nobody really stood out for me.
Timothy.
It's Stewart or Virtue for me. It could be either or, but it's like a bang average man of the match, isn't it? I won't be polishing this one up and put it on my mantelpiece, that's for certain. I'm going to go for Virtue.
You can always tell the man of the match segment when you hear that noise. Which Tim just did.
Do I have to?
That always means it's been a shit game and a shit performance. So, Tom, he's frozen. He's frozen in time.
Actually, Mac had the right idea. Man of the match was Piggott.
Yeah.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah. Tom's still there. He's put weird on the message. Let's try and bring him in again. There he is. He's there. You're unfrozen, Tom.
I don't know.
Thawed you out.
Man of match, Stewart.
Yeah, I think I agree there. Man of the match, Stewart for me. Just like him. He's a classy player. Right, listeners, we're gonna knock it on the head now. We're on an hour and 10, so thanks ever so much for joining us in the comments, etc. It does make the show better, and it gives us a good laugh, and that's most important. Right, so just before you go, please subscribe to the channel. When are we coming back next? What day is it, Tom? We've got the
Tuesday.
No, we've got.
Oh yeah,
we've got third tier on Monday. What's going
Absolutely.
on the third tier on Monday? Tell the listeners what it is if anyone's not watched it.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, it's on the Seasiders podcast channel. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. It's just a show dedicated to League One. We've got a guest from the Roker Report on Twitter. They've got nearly 40,000 followers on Twitter, so it's a pretty big guest. They're discussing Sunderland season, all what's happened in League One over the past couple of results, because we have a Tuesday and Saturday. And we'll go through any news, any form guides, and the upcoming fixtures. And we're also going to do a little bet at the end where we put on a little accumulator for the Tuesday's matches as well. So it's going to be a decent show. We've got Jules in the Blonde there is back on there from last Monday. We've got Ben back on, myself and Jimmy from the Roker Report as well. So it should be quite an action-packed show, roughly an hour. So please like and subscribe to Seasiders Podcast and follow us on Twitter as well, the third tier.
The debut was excellent, Tom. It really was.
Thank you.
Yep. Do watch, everybody. So yeah, let's hope we've got a good result against MK Dons on Tuesday, isn't it? After that, so
yeah,
we'll be having a match reaction show just quickly then before we head off them. So MK Dons on Tuesday night, is it a must win?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah, I'd say so. After today and Tuesday against Crewe, we need 3 points.
They've lost 3 in their last 4, lost 4 in their last 5. If we don't win, then we're not making playoffs.
I think the slight positive we can take is that when we look at our away performances recently, they've been significantly better than our home performances. And I think we can take some comfort from that hopefully it will suit the style of play that we're able to play away from home. But I think every game from between now and the end of the season is the proverbial 6-pointer, isn't it?
Mm.
So Max just said then 5-0 away win. Bisons has just said not a cat in hell's chance. Josh Mellon said promotion is over unless we get 3 points. Mark's just said yes to keep the pressure on. Steve Hutchin, have we ever won there? That's an interesting comment.
I don't think we have.
No, we have. I've seen us at that Hollywood Bowl, the Wimbledon Bowl, whatever it's called, and horrible away day. But yeah. Right, everybody, just do subscribe just before you go if you haven't done so already. As I said, we'll be back on Monday on the third tier on Monday and the match reaction show on Tuesday. So I hope you've enjoyed the show this evening. And all that remains to be said is thanks for downloading. Thanks for watching and up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.
Tradition.